Welcome back in and good morning to another episode here of the Big Red Pod. We got my guy Mythic AZ as well as myself. We're going to go ahead and start this up here, Friday episode. What's up, Mythic man? How are you doing?
Not doing bad, man. I mean, very tired, especially this morning for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on, but doing pretty
And
good. How are you? First
pretty
day
good.
back in the studio.
Yeah, man. I've had a vacation, and honestly, it was fun. But I'm glad to be back and talking Cardinals football back in my studio. I'm super excited. Big shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. Thank you so very much for being here. By the way, yeah, we're gonna dive into it. What we're gonna talk about is obviously Cardinals versus Seahawks, which I feel like, yeah, we have a game, right? We have a game this weekend, and I think it's kind of got lost with the idea of Kyler Murray coming back and all these big news that we ended up having over the week. So we'll be diving into that as well as Cardinals versus Seahawks. Do we feel like the Cardinals are going to go on a run, right? Well, we're going to dive into all that here today. Now, let's get started here, Mythic, if you don't mind. Let's talk about real quick, I guess just an update on what we've seen so far this week. Now, obviously, we heard Kyler Murray news. We've heard the Budda Baker news. And then the Garrett Williams news is kind of out there where we still don't know if he's going to play. What are your thoughts right now sitting on Friday morning? Do you think Budda Baker is going to play or even Garrett Williams? Because we know Kyler Murray has already been not ruled out, but he's not going to be playing per JG.
Something's telling me deep down that Buda's going to play. Like, the fact he's even activated, it's Budda Baker we're talking about. Like, as soon as he gets activated, as soon as he's going full speed, it's kind of just, that's who he is. He's going to get on the field as soon as possible. I feel like the Cardinals coaching staff is seeing him run out there. And I did see like a report, I don't remember who it was, and someone's like, Buda's probably going to end up playing. And I was like, okay, well, there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of what we assumed, Budda Baker got activated, and it's like, okay, if anyone's playing, it's him because he's coming off a hamstring. It's not like an actual tear, and if he did tear anything in his hamstring, it was super minor to the point where he's back in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So he's fine. It looks like he's fine. If I had to guess, I would probably say he's a full go. If it's just coming from me, obviously I don't know. If I had to assume, I'd probably say he's good to go. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. This is a guy that we've seen before, tried and scratched and clawed to get back into, on the field with his teammates, right? This is Budda Baker we're talking about. We're not talking about some scrub that, has a issue or like an injury and he doesn't come back for, 2 or 3 weeks. This is a guy that's going to battle and scratch and claw his way back into the field. And I think he is going to play. Something tells me deep down that, the moment that he was removed off of the IR list, that we're going to see Budda Baker here sooner rather than later. Now, obviously, the Seahawks game here is going to be the one over the weekend, and I think we will be seeing Budda Baker personally because, man, he's going to add some juice. He's going to add some juice to our secondary, which we absolutely need. Now, granted, he doesn't play the cornerback position, which we have a struggle with, but anything that we can, boost our secondary up with, that's going to be Budda Baker, right? The heart and soul of the team, like we've called here on this podcast before.
Exactly. And if he does play, obviously, like you said, it's a huge bolster to the secondary. We need as much help as possible in getting your best player back on the team. We'll take it. We will absolutely take it. As soon as he's ready to go, come back and save us. We need something to root for. Like the secondary, we just know it's just burnt toast at this point.
Yeah.
If you can have help in run support, because Budda Baker is one of the best run support safeties in the league, one of the best tackling safeties in the league, and it's just like you're just able to bolster everything and just have him rotate all around the field. It gives us a weapon on defense that we are completely lacking right now. And Jalen Thompson's status, I believe, is still up in the air. He hasn't practiced like at all week. So it's like you just need something. And if you don't have either of your starting safeties, then GG's, the Seahawks defense or the Seahawks offense will rip you apart. So thank God it looks like Budda's trending in the right direction. So I'm hoping he plays. If I had to guess, I would say that he's going to be a full go.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about Garrett Williams here real quick. Now, this is crazy because obviously we're dealing with a situation where this is a rookie cornerback, but there's so much excitement around this young player here. And he's been removed off the PUP list. He's been practicing for I think about a week or two now, but we haven't really seen him exactly come out here and get the snaps that we all want him to. Do you think we're going to see Garrett Williams this weekend?
I think so. If I had to guess, I would also say so. This is like the week that, he's been practicing a week. They opened his 21-day window, right? That's what they did?
Yep. He's been practicing for quite some time. Yeah. So I think it's up in the air in terms of if they activated him. I think we kind of both don't agree. I don't think they actually activated him on the 53. But that doesn't mean like I heard that they actually have some spots opened up now. Like
Yeah,
they did some moves where they released some people and then brought some people back into the practice squad. And I do believe that they have some room if they want to activate them to the 53-man roster. But obviously, if that happens, we want to see them on the field.
exactly. And I believe he's coming off an ACL tear, just like Kyler in college. So
It's a bad one.
obviously, it's something you want to take slow. You want to make sure he's fully healthy before he just goes out there and plays football again, because you don't want someone following or even going up against top receivers if you're fully not healthy. Because one, you're going to get burnt. Two, you could re-injure yourself. And I don't know. I feel like it's been enough time, and they opened the activation window for a reason. It's been a little over a week since they've done that. So if I had to guess, maybe even if it's not full reps, I'd say we see Garrett Williams on the field. That's the hope, because as much help as possible as we can get in that secondary, we will take it. And Garrett Williams, someone who could have easily been a first-round pick, obviously super hyped up by every single Cardinals fan, because that's what we do with every single draft pick. I mean,
Of course.
but I really feel like he has the potential to be something really good. So I feel like when he's fully healthy, which hopefully is this week, he's going to make an impact.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Let me get to my guy here. First contribution of the day. We got AZ Fan 1998. He says the Cardinals will beat the Seahawks this week. I think this will be Dobbs' last hurrah. I'm excited for K1's revenge tour begin against the Ravens. We're gonna dive into this as well. We did talk about this here. I believe it was on Wednesday when we ended up having our live stream, kind of celebrating the fact that we have Kyler Murray practicing again. So we're going to be diving into if our predictions has changed a little later on into the stream. But what do you think about Dobbs' chances are against the Seattle Seahawks team this coming week?
I don't know. The Seahawks defense isn't the greatest, which is kind of trending me to be optimistic, especially with Budda Baker back, which has nothing to do with Josh Dobbs. It's just like the defense, I feel like, is going to be a little more locked in. So I feel like with Budda just playing in general, it's going to kind of get the offense going a little bit, because you have your guy on the sidelines again. You have a guy who's actually in the game, which means the passion is going to be there. So if the offense isn't doing anything, he's going to try to wake him up as much as possible. And I feel like Josh Dobbs is going to be more on point this week, especially after the dunder that he just put up last week. I don't think he's going to replicate that. And if he does replicate that, then bad things are going to happen. I mean, you can't have 20 incompletions, 21 incompletions, 2 turnovers, and win a football game. It's very tough, especially when your defense – when your team isn't as talented as most of these other teams out there. It's going to be very hard to win games in general. But if you're playing turnover and mistake football, it's going to be even harder, almost impossible. So I feel like Josh Dobbs is going to clean things up this week. I don't know if this is going to be his last game, but I feel like he's going to be on point this week, or a lot better than he was last week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Right. I mean, that's what we're all kind of hoping for as Cardinal fans, for him to have a better game, because compared to what we saw last week, it wasn't enough, man. Like you said, what was it, 50% completion rate or something around there?
Like 51, 52.
It's wild, man. You can't have that, right? Especially if you're a quarterback here, and we're already struggling as a team. So to add that on top of it, where this is a guy that has the ball in his hands every snap, it's not a good direction for the Cardinals to move forward with. So I hope that Dobbs can get better. Now, I know we were originally talking about maybe seeing that rookie quarterback in Clayton Tune. That's not going to happen, right? We kind of knew that the inkling was we wanted to see him. Do we think you were going to see him? No, we're not.
Yeah.
But we felt like it was time. But obviously the Josh Dobbs show, JG doesn't feel like he's going to make a change. And at this very moment, why should he, right? Especially when Kyler Murray is on the horizon.
On the brink.
On the brink, exactly. So at this very moment, there's no really point in talking about that. We're hoping that Josh Dobbs can become the guy that we've seen progress week 2, week 3 to week 4. He's had a moment of, man, we need him to be better, but hopefully in the Seahawks game, we can really, really make some noise, because the history shows that the Arizona Cardinals, for some reason, always beat them up there in Lumen Field, or at one point named CenturyLink, but now Lumen Field. We always used to beat them up there, right? Now, obviously, last year was an anomaly, but let's see if history can repeat itself. And I hope that Josh Dobbs can come out here and put on his best QB1 mask on, because we need him to come out here and show out. What do you want to see from Josh Dobbs heading into this game?
That is a tough one. Excuse me. I think that Josh Dobbs, like the completion percent, like it's cool. 51, like obviously that's not great, especially with the way he played in general. But I think we just need to get the ball in the end zone. I need to see consistent play throughout the whole game. I need to see the second half offense in particular as well. You need to play 60-minute football. I need Josh Dobbs to be locked in, getting this team completely rallied for 60 minutes. And if we can't, and we're still the 30-minute team putting up 10 plus points in the first half and then just completely going non-existent in the second half, we're going to lose. I promise you, we're going to lose this game. And unless we're putting up 28 points in the first half, which how realistic is that?
Man, I'm not very.
So if Josh Dobbs can't play 60-minute football, I mean, it's going to look rough for us, man. And we need to find a way to put the ball in the end zone. Even if he's not the one doing it, we need to have Josh Dobbs lead us down the field to put us in position to even have a chance to score. And if Josh Dobbs can do that and we have chances at touchdowns, it's going to look pretty good for us coming Sunday.
Yeah. But that's what it is, right? It's the chances that we do have along the game, right? Like you can look at the highlights or you can skip this game all you want, but when we're watching it, play by play, the Cardinals seem to be 3, 4, 5 plays away, and those are those big bombs or even those touchdown catches, whether you want to blame Ertz, whether you want to blame the quarterback or another receiver. Those are the plays that need to be made, right? Those are the plays that determine if you're a good team or if you're not a good team, right? It's all about opportunity, and we need this Cardinal team to really rally against each other. And per JG, it seems like there's a different amount of juice going around amongst the practice area for the Cardinals. So this is going to be obviously something that we need, right? Honestly, the Kyler Murray news is a big news out there because now we're starting to see some fans come back up here and being like, yeah, let's go. Cardinals football starts this week, because like we talked about, in the earlier part of our podcasts, is the fact that this team runs through Kyler Murray. Whether how many haters he has out there, this team runs through the success of Kyler Murray. Nobody wants to look at a Josh Dobbs-led, Cardinals team, right? If we win, there's some moral victories, but in the bottom line, this team runs through Kyler Murray and his success and what he's been going. So I'm excited. I hope Josh Dobbs can play a clean game. We need to see a lot better improvement since from last week, but you need to take advantage of those opportunities that are given to you, right? And why it's taking this long for him to connect with Zach Ertz is beyond me, right? And Marquise as well, like those big bombs. I get it. Like it's all about timing, right? But we've preached the timing since the beginning of the season. And that's one of the main things why we were a little hesitant about being all in on Josh Dobbs, because he literally was here 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, and we automatically crowned him QB1 heading into the regular season. So this is the type of stuff that we've been talking about for weeks on weeks. So we're hoping that we're going to start seeing a clean game, because that's what you're going to need. You're going to need that if you want to have any chance of beating the Seahawks.
Absolutely need it. Josh Dobbs has to be on point, and hopefully the timing is a little bit better, because we know it's one of the most important things in football is that quarterback to receiver timing. I mean, Tom Brady would literally in the offseason, especially in Tampa Bay too. We heard it. He would literally fly down there before the season even starts just to get timing down. You have a 10-yard curl. You got to know when to throw it. You got to know when the quarterback wants it to be in a specific spot, and you have to make sure the receivers and tight ends are on board. I mean, we're seeing misconnects all the time. So hopefully the timing's a little bit better 6 weeks in or 7 weeks in, whatever we are now. I believe this is week 7. So hopefully the timing is just a little more on point this week, because for whatever reason, I feel like Zach Ertz does have a little bit left in the tank, or a good amount left in the tank to be a starting tight end. And obviously if the record's a lot different, we wouldn't be preaching to trade him. But our record's 1-5. I mean, what are you going to do with a 30-plus-year-old tight end? Kyler comes back. I promise you, him and Zach Ertz are one of the better duos in the league. Obviously, it's a really weird duo, Kyler and Zach Ertz, but the tandem of them two is going to look way better than Josh Dobbs. So if we're sitting here with 2-3 wins, I'd be a lot more optimistic with them, but that's just not the case.
Not the case at all. Yeah. We're going to dive into a little deeper here on Seahawks versus Cardinals a little later on in the stream, but let's continue to talk about Kyler Murray, if you don't mind here, Mythic, because obviously it's the biggest news that has dropped so far since sliced bread for Arizona Cardinal fans, right? Let's talk about this. There was a report that came out here from Josh Weinfuss of ESPN. I want to kind of dive into, because we talked about the idea of when you expect Kyler Murray to come back and when I expect Kyler Murray to come back. And keep in mind, expect means we're hoping, right? We're hoping to see Kyler Murray come back sooner rather than later, or at least me. But let's dive into this report here from Josh Weinfuss from ESPN. He says this week, the Cardinals begin to implement their plan to get Kyler Murray prepared to play again. He's already taken some first team reps and worked in the huddle with the starters. So let's talk about this here real quick. We already know that the Seahawks versus Cardinals is not going to be Kyler Murray versus the Seahawks. It's going to be Josh Dobbs versus the Cardinals. But does this change your prediction, your mindset of when do you think Kyler Murray is going to be showing up or playing for the Cardinals at QB1?
It's definitely a lot more optimistic, going into it? I'm not sure. Still, I'm really not sure because they have a timetable, and obviously they don't want to say it because they want that competitive advantage. Say they take this win right here. I mean, I feel like this is like one of the games right here that we have to win.
Yeah.
So if Kyler does, like, if we end up winning this game, Kyler might come back next week. If we lose, maybe it gets pushed back.
Yes.
Like, they have a timetable. I mean, they have something in their head,
Yeah.
and he might be ready to go next week. I mean, he's taking first team reps already. That's a great sign. That is a great sign, especially with Josh Dobbs literally going to play a game right now. That's a great start. I mean, get that timing back with all your players. So maybe it is next week. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. My predictions have been so 50-50. I've been right on some, been wrong about others. And I don't know. If we win this game, I'd say he comes back earlier than the Falcons game, which is what I predicted.
I agree with you. I think that this week has a lot more weight than people think. Because think about it, right? If the Cardinals do win this game, we're sitting at a very pretty looking 2-5. Now I get it. It's not that pretty. I understand.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be 2-5, right? If we're 1-6, there might be more of a reason to say, hey, keep doing your thing, right? Let us know when you're fully healthy, fully ready to go. But at the end of the day here, I think this game has a lot more weight than most people think because, yes, we got 5 losses. But if you think about it, we've played 6 games so far, right? We got 17 games in the regular season. That means we have 11 games left. I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals can go on a magical run with Kyler Murray back there, but the chances of the Cardinals winning more games than people predicted is out there, right? With the opportunity to play a lot more games than people think. We're not even at the halfway point right now. We still got 11 games left, including the Seahawks game. So I think this game here is going to be very, very high. It's going to be very, 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 it's going to weigh very high is what I'm trying to say. So if we do win, we can see Kyler Murray as soon as next week. If we don't, it might take another week or two before Kyler Murray comes out here to try to save the day and then save this Cardinal football. Because, like I said earlier, nobody wants to see Josh Dobbs at quarterback.
There might be a little more pushback. That's the thing. So who knows? I mean, they have a timetable set. They kind of know what they're dealing with right here. So if that's what they're thinking, then that's what they're thinking. It makes sense, but we don't really know. I mean, if you have a record of 2-5, I mean, you have a chance. You have a record of 1-6, your season's over.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we basically have to go undefeated or really close to. We need to win 8 games, 9 games. And how many do we have left? Probably like 8 or 9. So, I mean, you kind of got to go on that crazy run, like you said. No, we have 11 games, right?
11 games left. Yeah, yep.
11 games. So, if we win this game super big, I mean, the season is still alive for whatever reason. I don't know how the NFC's panning out, but I mean, the division's a lot closer. I mean, we win the Seattle's 3-3.
Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. Yeah. And then
the 49ers are running away, but at that point, you could really fight for a wild card spot. I'm not saying we're going to do that because this team is, like we said, not very talented, especially with all the people we have out. You have injuries and then all the adversity you're dealing with. But who knows, man? I mean, it's the NFL. Anything can happen every single week. So you get your best player back on offense, things could shake out. And I can't wait to see what this offense looks like with Kyler. I am ecstatic.
Me too. Honestly, me too. I'm very excited to see what it's going to look like here with Kyler Murray. Well, to me, let's give your predictions, right? And everybody in the chat here, definitely let us know here what your predictions here and when Kyler Murray is. Just throw a prediction out, Mythic. What are you thinking? And you can weigh on if we win this game or not, but just let me know what week you're thinking.
Okay, so if we win this game, I would say next week is very realistic. And I feel like for some reason, something's telling me that Falcons game. The Falcons game is where they're pushing. And if that's the case, that's the case. I would love to see him back a lot sooner because the Falcons game is literally like extending this thing out as much as possible.
Right.
Giving him as much time to heal, which is fine. And if he's ready now, then we win this game, put him in next week. So if we win, that's what I'm going to predict. So if we end up winning this game on Sunday, I say he's good to go next week or the week after that.
Okay.
I'm going to say next week, though. Give a little bit of a prediction. And then I'd say if we lose, I mean, Falcons. I feel like that's kind of where they were pushing for anyways. Okay. But I'm just going to rock with that.
Okay. So Falcons is going to be November the 12th. But if we win, you're going to see as soon as the end of this month. I do like the idea of we do win, right? Next week would be really awesome to see him. Now, like I said, this is hopes, right? We're hoping here. We don't know. Yeah. We don't have any inside information. We're just hoping. But even if we don't win, I could see him. Yeah, I think the Falcons. I was a little bit more like on cloud nine when we had the stream on Wednesday. And you're right, man. The Browns defense is no joke. They ended up giving the first L to the San Francisco 49ers that absolutely obliterated us because their defense is better than people think. Now, granted, it was nasty weather that day, but I think the Browns are better than I thought they were going to be heading into the season. So I like your prediction. I think it's fair to say, and this game is going to be very, very pivotal to see if we find out if Kyler Murray plays or not.
Exactly. I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah. I agree.
On Sunday, things will shake out a little bit. And I mean, if we lose, then hearts will be broken.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hearts will be broken indeed, for sure. All right, man. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about obviously the biggest game. I guess not the biggest game, but our next game here, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals, which is going to take place this coming Sunday. What do you think the Cardinals need to do here in order for us to either come out with a win, or who are some players that you look out for? What are your thoughts on the Seahawks this season?
The Seahawks are so weird. Like, the Seattle Seahawks have been so up and down this year. And they sit at a record of 3-2. Almost, they could have been 4-1. So, I mean, that Bengals game was really close. And Geno Smith is honestly the reason that I'd say they lose it. You can't have 2 turnovers, no touchdowns from your quarterback. Your quarterback looked awful. Now, granted, the Bengals didn't look great either. They put up 17 points, 13. It was a defensive battle back and forth. But, man, Geno Smith, if he plays like that against us, I'm liking our chances. But is there a way that the Arizona Cardinals force 2 turnovers like the Bengals? I'm not sure. But, I mean, we gave fight to the Bengals, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of levels to this. You know, the Bengals poured it on at one point, and the Seahawks consistently stayed and held them to 17 points. So there's reason for me to believe that the Seahawks are a better team here, because I think they are. I think that's pretty fair to say. I mean, they have a better almost everything than us. And I don't know. The Seahawks have been so 50, though, because Carolina put 27 points on them. They looked awful. Andy Dalton came in, put 27 on them. They also beat Detroit, who's one of the best teams. They handed them their only loss of the season. So I don't know. And then the Rams poured it on week 1, 30-13. Giants, they beat them 24-3. So super iffy season. I don't know. But it's like there's optimism going into this game. There's definitely weaknesses that Seattle has, because the Panthers putting up 27 points and the Rams putting 30. I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of a recipe of success that we need to figure out. And I feel like a lot of that does start with Josh Dobbs, and we do need to put pressure on Geno Smith. If Geno Smith plays turnover football and he's turning it over and coughing it up and we have more opportunities, we're going to look like we're going to have a lot more chances, which is what we need. We need more chances to put the ball in the end zone, especially with this offense. So I don't know. So I would say Geno Smith, if we can get him to turn the ball over, and Josh Dobbs is on point, I feel like we'll have a really good chance at winning this. And this is a big game. Yeah. So if we can pull away with a dub, optimism is through the roof.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this defense, or I'm sorry, not this team, the Seahawks team is better than people think. Now, yes, they are, they're number 2 in the division right now. Yeah. They're looking pretty good. Now, they have a really young defense secondary. Their secondary that they have is actually pretty darn good. Yep. Now, looking at like their roster and depth chart, they have a lot of questionable people heading into this week, but I have no doubt that a lot of them most likely will be playing. But like just taking a look at their secondary now, obviously Jamal Adams is going to be their veteran out there, so I'm not really talking about him when it comes down to young guys. But Devon Witherspoon, guy that they just picked up, this guy's looking like an absolute stud. Quandre Diggs, and then is it Tariq Woolen? So, yeah, you know, they had some really young pieces over there, and they're looking really, really good in terms of the secondary. And that's kind of what I want the Arizona Cardinals to try to implement, right? Where we have Budda Baker as our veteran back there. We got Jalen Thompson also was a veteran, but we love the way he plays. But we need to make sure that our rookie cornerbacks kind of blossom to either a Devon Witherspoon or even a Tariq Woolen. But I think that's why a lot of people are really optimistic about Garrett Williams coming in here, because let's be honest, what we're hearing right now with Marco Wilson, people want to give him away, you know, for a bag of chips, some paper clips, a half, you know, eaten bag of chips. They want to send him to China. Well, we're hearing all sorts of type of stuff when it comes to Marco Wilson. And although we had some optimism about Keitrell Clark, you know, in the beginning of the season, it's just not looking so hot when he's getting benched or, you know, getting replaced by Antonio Hamilton. So we need somebody, some light at the end of the tunnel, whether that's coming from the draft or coming from this offseason's free agency class. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But I think that when you're looking at roster per roster, the Seahawks have a better roster than the Arizona Cardinals. So what we're hoping for is a opportunity for, like you said, Josh Dobbs to have a penalty-free, clean type of game where we're not incompleting almost half of our passes, right? We need to have Josh Dobbs play at a level of what we've seen in week 3, and week 4, because that's what we need from Josh Dobbs. Now, our running back position right now is going to be what we've been seeing last week, right? We don't have James Conner, very unfortunate, but we're going to be rolling with what we have. And we're going to be seeing Amari Ricardo, Keontae Ingram, maybe some Damian Williams. So it's going to be a running back by committee type of thing. And I think most important is that you need to get that run game going. I understand James Conner isn't there, but we've already had a week of mentally putting ourselves in that situation, and so has the coaching staff. So they need to be able to get the best person they can to get the biggest heavy load there. Right now, last week we ended up seeing Damian Williams and Keontae Ingram. I like Damian Williams. I think he's a good opportunity, but I like him as maybe as a third running back, the guy that's going to be able to get that ball out of the backfield. I want to see more Amari Ricardo, personally. Amari Ricardo and Keontae Ingram, whoever gets the most snaps. But that's what I want to see, because we've seen some flashes of Amari Ricardo, and literally the next week we're just gone. So we need to establish that run game, because when that gets going, we can open up the play action and all the other stuff that we need to kind of open up. So it's very important for our offense to get going, because our defense is decent with the little talent that we have. They can force pivotal things in a game, but if you're really going to give this game and say defense win this game for us, it's not going to happen.
Nope.
It's not going to happen at all. Now, even if Buda Baker comes back, it's not going to happen. You need to be able to get this offense going. That's the key and most important thing. Offense needs to get going. And Josh Dobbs, man, you got a tough task ahead of you, because that offense isn't easy. But we need to make sure that we're on the field and converting those third downs.
Correct. And I know we don't have the talent like that. So it's like a lot of this is getting pitted on Josh Dobbs, but I don't know. It's just NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, playing at the highest of the highest, you got to play at the highest of the highest. You can't sit here and just play mediocre constantly and just get away with it. Like, James Conner was really the Band-Aid to this offense. And people are starting to see that. And I was getting called crazy for even saying that, but it's true. James Conner was the Band-Aid to this offense. Without him, things got kind of ugly very quick, and just can't have that, man. I mean, we got to establish a run game, like you said, but Josh Dobbs has to be on point as well. Yeah. It goes hand in hand. Like, there's no mistakes we can make. If we want to win, we got to play almost perfect. Even in our one win against Dallas, it could have came back. They could have came back. Yeah. So, I mean,
just like the Giants did.
Shout out Kaiser White, man, but it could have got ugly. They pound that in, and the game is right there. It was like 16 points. It would have been 20-something, and there we are, facing the brink of another choke, and that would hurt. But Kaiser White picked him off in the end zone. It was over.
And isn't that crazy to kind of figure that out? Because Kaiser White came out here really clutch here for the Arizona Cardinals, because literally we were, a few plays away from them actually, trying to make a run and coming back, because just almost like every other game that we've seen this year, the Arizona Cardinals always scored 7 points. Only 7 points in the second half compared to what they scored. I think it was like 21 points, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half. So it's one of those situations, like, we need the Arizona Cardinals to wake up in that second half. And like Josh Dobbs, like, I want to so badly believe that he could become the guy to give us the wins. But like, we're starting to hear people say we should have kept Colt McCoy. Now, granted, these are people that don't watch Cardinal football or didn't stay in tune into training camp, because I was very lucky enough to go to a lot of these training camps, and Colt McCoy didn't look good. And that's one of the main reasons why I was so high on Clayton Tune to win this job, because Colt McCoy looked bad. He was throwing interceptions left and right. His arm was not as good as, people remember as last year. Big difference from last year to this year.
It's just, it was the right move to move off of him. And I made the prediction very early, because like you said, I went to the training camps too. I went to one of them, and it looked awful. I went to the one where he hit Marco Wilson on the back of the head. So, I mean, like, the arm strength wasn't there. I mean, he's an aging quarterback at 30-something. I mean, at this point, you're not even competing. You know what I mean? We're not even competing for anything. So what's the point of keeping a vet around, especially if he's not performing at a high level? There's no point. So it's the right call. A lot of people are crazy, and that's just the media for you. I mean, they'll speak out on anything. They'll see like a veteran player get released and you're 1-5, and it's a narrative. It's a narrative game. That's what we're playing. We're playing for clicks. That's how everything works. I mean, Colt McCoy is an analyst now, and I mean, he worked out with the team, didn't get signed, and I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason he didn't get signed. I don't remember who he worked out for, but I remember seeing something that he worked out was like the Titans or the Vikings. I might be way off in that, but I saw him work out for a team. Didn't get picked up. I wonder why.
Just doesn't have it. Let me give a big shout out here to Junebug with the 99 cents contribution. Appreciate you. Thank you so very much.
You.
Yeah, this game here, like you said, needs to be perfect. It's sad, but it needs to be perfect. We have no room for mistakes in this game. No room for mistakes.
And that's on both sides of the ball too. You got to be on point.
Let's talk about their offense real quick. We kind of gave praise to their defense and how young they look, and hopefully the Cardinals can implement that with the pieces that we've gotten in the draft so far. But let's take a look at their offense, right? With obviously Geno Smith has had a career-changing movement to the Seattle Seahawks, because everybody forgot about Geno Smith until he went to the Seahawks, because let's be honest, it made his career kind of get back on track. They got
definitely a revival.
Yeah, definitely. They got Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. And they also got that rookie, is it Jackson Smith and Jigba? And then they got Noah Fant, which I think people were a little bit more high on, and he's not really performing to the level, but he's still pretty good. What do you think of their offense?
I feel like they're just explosive. I feel like Geno Smith is still the hindering point. I've kind of never been a believer, even after last year. I wouldn't say it's a fluke, right? Like, I feel like Geno Smith is a very solid quarterback. Solid, better than Josh Dobbs, but like not levels ahead, if that makes sense. He just has a way better offense. I mean, you put Josh Dobbs in that offense, I'm sure Josh Dobbs will look pretty decent too. But I don't know. It's just Geno Smith. I'm not really a believer, but the offense is scary, man. DK Metcalf, like I said, when he wants to stop punching people in the face and actually play football, he's pretty dang good. And then Tyler Lockett is one of the most consistent receivers in the league. And he's just a 1,000-yard guy. This is what he does. He's going to get things going in the second half. He started the season off very slow, but it's still Tyler Lockett, man. We know what this man can do. This man is dangerous, although he doesn't like taking hits. I mean, he'll dice you. And then Jackson Smith, and oh my goodness. I'm so high on Jackson Smith. I don't know when he's going to take the leap because he hasn't done it yet, but I'm so high on him. I feel like he's going to come out and he's going to be nasty, which sucks because he's in the division. And I'm just, of course, it's another division person. And you have Devon Witherspoon too. They just have youth mixed with vets. And it's so weird because this team was supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league last year. And out of nowhere, they're just good. It's like the Rams this year, you know? Yeah, it's the same thing we're hearing in the division. Like, oh, this team is going to suck. This team is going to be so awful this year. They're going to have 2 wins, 3 wins this year. Seattle makes the playoffs last year, right?
This year you said,
or last year?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did hit the playoffs.
They made the playoffs.
They were very close to it.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but of course, right? That's how it works. Watch, the Rams are probably going to make the playoffs this year. This is how it works. I mean, the worst team besides us. I mean, if we're projected the worst team, we'll be the freaking worst team in the league. That's what we do. But for some reason, the Rams and Seahawks just have like a blueprint right in front of them, and obviously they do have a little more talent. But I just feel like regardless of what the Rams have, trading away Jalen Ramsey, the defense getting significantly worse on paper, and then Matthew Stafford coming in with arthritis in his elbow. I mean, they're coming out slinging, and it's like, what the heck? What is going on? Like, why have the Cardinals not been able to like replicate any of the success in the division? I feel like every team has been good. Like San Fran had a couple down years where they were rotating through quarterbacks and Kyle Shanahan couldn't get anybody, and they just had like random people coming in and out. But of course, they figured out one of the best teams in football, probably the most loaded roster in the NFL. The Rams just won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Seahawks are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. Explode. Geno Smith has a freaking career revival, and supposedly one of the least talented teams in the league turns out to be fantastic. And then here's the Cardinals, man. I mean, we're same cycle. It's like we'll have the 2-3 years of good football, and then it goes right back to the tank. And then it's what it is. It's like 5 to 8 years of tanking football, and then you get your 2 good years, and it's just like a rotation of things because we always fill it with bets. That's the thing. It'll always be bet football, and I'm not mad at it because, I mean, at some point you got to fill your roster out, give you a chance to win, but it's just like you don't have a long window. So hopefully this time around, Monty Austinfort can get this thing going, and we can finally strive to get a freaking good rebuild.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't really talk about very much here in terms of like when Kyler Murray, I don't think Kyler Murray is going to be moved off, but the people that want to move off of him, keep in mind, we're going to be going through another rebuild on top of a rebuild, right? Right now we have a stable point in terms of what we have as a quarterback now. You know, this year is going to be very pivotal for Kyler Murray and maybe next year as well. But like we don't want to go back in the dark, right? Right now, we got a piece that a lot of, at least, 65 to 70% of the fan base truly believes in him. And we think we can take that step as long as we can build around him. We don't want to draft another rookie quarterback. What's another first rounder and 3 of them in the 3 weeks
in
or
the
like
last 5-6 years.
Yeah. Like, I'm tired of it. I want to get a staple point. I want to believe in this quarterback that we're going to be able to kind of push forward and move through. And hopefully with Monty Austin, we're going to be able to see that. But you're right, man. With the Seahawks supposed to be in the tank and terrible last year, it's just kind of what happens to Cardinal fans to see that, right? Like, it sucks because you're right. The Cardinals have a window of 2-3 years and we just kind of go back in the dump and it sucks.
It's the worst.
It is. Let me give a shout out here to my guy Sports Hits with a $5 dono. Appreciate you, man. He says, love the stream, bro, and thanks for keeping us updated. Absolutely, man. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you guys for being here, and thanks for the support of this brand new channel. And basically, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It means so much, man. Appreciate all the support so far. Brand new channel. All you guys are showing love. We really appreciate it. It means so much.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing, we are live on Apple Podcasts. Just FYI, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys do want to take the show on the road, you can actually go to Apple Podcasts here and give us a follow on there. Basically, it's the same show on there. You can take us on the road. So yeah, let's continue to talk about here Cardinals versus Seahawks because I think you kind of hit that on the head here with the with Njigba, with that young kid that they have there, because Tyler Lockett's 30 years old or 31 years old. His time might be coming up here pretty soon in terms of retirement. So he might be the guy that's got to get that opportunity to show his talent,
show a leap. And DK Metcalf even said it himself too. He's like, I don't know when it's going to be, but this kid is going to take a leap. One game, he's going to explode. One game, not today, not this Sunday. Do not even speak that into existence. I'm knocking on wood right now. It's not this week. Cardinals, come on, please. Let's not let this kid break out and have his first game. It's going to be like, I just know how this works. So let's not let it happen. Let's not let this happen.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Let's talk about this real quick. I'm going to give you 4 people in the Seattle Seahawks, and you tell me who's going to be the person that you fear is going to break out. We've seen it for weeks on weeks for the past few weeks, right? We've seen Jamar Chase, we see Cooper Kupp. We've seen it all. Let me give you 4 people. You're going to give me 2 people that you're going to think is going to break out, or just one of them. Let's see, Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, or Tyler Lockett. Who's going to go off?
And I'm between 2. I really am. I'm between 2. I would say DK Metcalf hasn't had a ton of great games this year. So I would say it's either going to be DK Metcalf or not Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf or Kenneth Walker. Our run defense has been atrocious, and Kenneth Walker's been getting consistent carries around the 18 mark. I believe it's like 18, 17, 19. And his last 3 is the last time I looked. So, I mean, Kenneth Walker gets consistent carries, and we don't have a good run defense. So if Kenneth Walker consistently gets those 18 to 20 runs, I could say with confidence that he's over 80 yards and probably a touchdown. And then DK Metcalf, obviously our secondary is very weak. So where's the number 1 corner on our roster lineup? Who is our number 1 corner? I don't know. But whoever's lined up outside is having a field day. In my opinion, because Geno Smith, I feel like he'll be on point this week. Last week was a really bad week for him. Obviously, looking to bounce back off a loss. This is a division game, means a lot right here, because the Cardinals win this game, they're kind of back in it, even though it doesn't look like it with a record of 2-5. I mean, the Seahawks would sit at a record of 3-3 at that point. And let's say the Rams drop when they're 3-4.
Yeah,
this is just all hypotheticals, but we're realistically back in it. And I don't want to spew nonsense because obviously it's the Cardinals. At the end of the day, we know this team isn't supposed to make any noise, but who knows, man? I really don't know. Who do you think is the breakout player, or if there is any?
I think there will be. Unfortunately, I think there will be. I don't think we're that delusional. I think there is a chance for the Cardinals to win this game, but that's under the understanding that we play perfect football. Like, we can't make any mistakes, right? Josh Dobbs needs to come out here and play magnificent, like he did. Well, not weeks 2, 3, and 4. He didn't play magnificent, but that's the type of Josh Dobbs that we need in order for us to even be remotely close to win this game. I think the people that are going to break out, I do like the Kenneth Walker pick, but I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett instead of DK Metcalf. Yeah, I feel like he always is the guy that's always burning us. I don't know what it is. I like Tyler Lockett. I really do. It sucks he plays for the Seattle Seahawks, and kudos to him for being a smaller type wide receiver, but never really kind of gets hurt that much. He's had some injuries here and there, and I can definitely acknowledge it, but man, this guy is a very, very good wide receiver in terms of having a veteran guy over there that's going to be able to break the top off the defense, and he still has that type of speed, although he's lost a step because he's getting older, but he still can be that guy. And especially with what we have in our secondary and how bad we were getting burnt, right? Marco Wilson, Keichel Clark, and all the people that we have back there. I think that's what we're hoping for Buda Baker to come back to give us a little level of, not excitement, but a little level of getting better here in the secondary. So I'm going to pick out my 2 breakout players for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, because right now, as the stats are for the 2023 season, 83 carries, 345 yards, 6 touchdowns, averages about 4.2 yards a carry. And if the Cardinals continue to show what we've been showing in the past couple of weeks, we're not going to have a chance of stopping this man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a touchdown a game in every single game almost. But I think he's scoreless in 1, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like a touchdown a game. Like, this is insane. This kid is popping off.
Yeah.
A lot to be dreaded, but a lot to be excited for at the same time, because let's see what we're about, right? I mean, on the brink of adversity, I mean, how bad do you want to compete, man? I mean, K1's on the brink of returning. How bad do we want it?
Yeah, no, I agree. So what about you? Let's turn over to the Cardinals here. Let's stop giving love to the Seattle Seahawks. Let's talk about our Arizona Cardinals. Let me give you 4 people here. Do you think are going to break out? And you could just give me 1. That's fine. I get you don't want to pick 2 people. I don't want to pick 2 people personally, but let me give you 4 people here for the Arizona Cardinals that hopefully are going to have a breakout game. You can tell me who you think are going to be. Josh Dobbs, Trey McBride, Marquise Hollywood Brown, or Michael Wilson.
See, we would love it to be Michael Wilson. I think Hollywood Brown is going to be that guy. As much as it's like the obvious pick, like, oh, he's the best offensive player, I feel like it's the right pick. Yeah. Hollywood Brown was robbed of 50-plus yards and 2 touchdowns last game. I feel like the connect wasn't there for whatever reason, 2 bad balls, but I feel like this week is a time where Josh Dobbs is going to get his SH together and kind of put it together and figure it out. I feel like him and Hollywood are going to be clicking a little bit. Hollywood finishes with like 5+ receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Or 60+ yards. Obviously, that could range to the hundreds as well, but 60 minimum, 5+ receptions, and a touchdown.
So I'm going to go with Michael Wilson, and I know it's not the favorite, just because I so badly want him to have another game like that. Like we've seen him before. Obviously, I think Marquise Hollywood Brown is the obvious choice and the obvious answer, but just to be a little different for me, I'm going to go with Michael Wilson because I'm so badly want him to break out, and I so badly want Josh Dobbs to target this man, not just in the 4th quarter and not just in garbage time. I want Michael Wilson to have the opportunity, and Josh Dobbs doesn't give it to him. We're going to be sitting in a situation that we're going to be sitting in. Yeah, so I'm hoping Michael Wilson. I'm only giving you 1 player because I understand where we're at right now as an organization. So I'm going to go Michael Wilson.
Something's telling me Michael Wilson too. Like, I don't know, something deep down is just telling me Michael Wilson is breaking out or going to have a good game. But, I feel like Hollywood will finish with the stat line very similar to that. Hopefully one of our receivers steps up because Josh Dobbs needs as much help as possible, so get as open as possible so the balls don't have to be pinpoint. Yeah. Give him 5 yards to separate. I mean, shoot, even with 5 yards of separation, sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah.
So who knows, man?
Well, one thing we can say is that it's been very, very favored for the Cardinals to go over there in Seattle and beat them. And then when they come here, they beat us. It's usually the trend of what we've been seeing. Last year, like I said earlier, was an anomaly where we were a bad team under the Cliff Kingsbury 4th year. But usually we go up there and beat them. And kind of how we talked about before the Cowboys game, the Cardinals own the Cowboys. I don't know what it is. They can be really, really good and we can be really, really crappy. And somehow the Cardinals beat them. So yeah. Hopefully, you never know, right? Any given Sunday, NFL is a crazy, crazy sport. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens this coming Sunday. Now, let's talk about this here real quick, if you don't mind, Mythic. Let's talk maybe the last 10 minutes before we end the stream, 10, 15 minutes about what if the Cardinals do lose this game, right? Because I think this is definitely something that we need to talk about because the trade deadline's coming here. And although we got hype about Kyler Murray coming back, do you still see a world where Marquise Hollywood Brown gets traded? Because there's still rumors out there, regardless if Kyler Murray comes back. Do you still think that is a real thing?
I hope not. Like, I genuinely do hope not, because losing Hollywood, like, obviously you're going to get more elevated reps from like Trey McBride and Michael Wilson, but I don't know. It's just, you kind of lose your wide receiver 1 at that point and then take away the best weapon on the team. Hollywood is the best overall receiver that we have right now. Yeah. So kind of just shipping him off is kind of just limiting the offense that's already very limited. And I mean, I would still say Zach Ertz is the name. And I don't want to trade Buddha. I mean, I said you got to listen to the offers and just see what you can get. I don't want him gone. I will establish this every single time. I don't want him gone. But I mean, that was just a name. James Conner's just a name. Don't want to see him gone. I feel like he's a great culture fit. And it's just, there's a lot of these players, but I don't know. I feel like Hollywood should be safe. Knock on wood. Hopefully he's safe, because even if he wants 18 to 20 million, I say you do it, because you don't even know if you can get someone like Marvin Harrison in the draft. Even if you do, that's 3 receivers that you could have right there. You got weapons on weapons on weapons. Marvin Harrison, Hollywood Brown, Michael Wilson. That sounds great. But I mean, you're not even in a position right now where you're confirmed a top 3 pick. And if the Bears get 1 and 2, I mean, we could see Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison right there. So, I mean, we don't know what the future's looking like. Are you really willing to give up your wide receiver 1 just like that?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, they have no ties to anybody. And this is technically a Steve Keim guy, if you want to even call it that. It's more like a Kyler guy in my eyes.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
Like Steve Keim made the move, but it's more like a Kyler guy. And I don't know. I feel good about it. I feel like he's going to stay a Cardinal. And if there is any player that ends up getting traded, I would say it's Hollywood. I feel like he's the most realistic player getting traded, but Zach Ertz is right behind. Just the need of receiver for a bunch of teams right now, and the fact he's even in rumors right now. Like, we're not hearing anything about Zach Ertz.
True.
So, I mean, Hollywood Brown is probably the easiest player to say the Cardinals trade. I don't know if we're going to end up making any moves. Kind of just sitting here as time goes on. Like, it could have been a fire sale, but I feel like the Cardinals like the direction they're heading, and I feel like they're going to stay pat.
Okay. So you don't think we're going to be sellers? We're just going to maybe stay pat and see what happens?
I think we're just going to stay pat and maybe listen to a couple offers, and if nothing materializes, it doesn't materialize. There's no point to just
make a move,
trade anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, especially, you're right. I mean, when it comes down to Zach Ertz, I mean, although we kind of named a few players, a couple of weeks ago where the Cardinals can possibly move off of, like, if you're going to, but it just depends, right? It depends if Zach Ertz wants to go. We haven't heard anything. He seems to be kind of one of those guys that are just kind of there. He's like, I'm here. We haven't, maybe he just doesn't chirp. Maybe he does chirp. Maybe he talks to the front office. Maybe there's something to be said about that. We just don't know. But if he does want to go, I would definitely go ahead and,
do right.
Yeah, do right by him and do the right thing and move off of Zach Ertz. But don't make a move just to make a move, right? To get a 7th round pick, a 6th round pick that might not see the light of day. Because although we are seeing Monty Ossenfort make some really, really good picks, it's not always going to be the case for the Cardinals and just for the organization in general. So I would rather keep Zach Ertz because I think we have him signed up until 2024. I think next year is his last year.
After this,
right? Yeah, 2024 is his last year, and I think 2025 is a voided out year. So if we could still get a production and still have Trey McBride learn under his wing, I think that would be a lot more valuable than getting a 6th round pick, just a random one. Now, if it happens, it happens. Okay, cool. Then it's gonna be the Trey McBride show unless the Cardinals decide to get the next best tight end in this coming draft. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I do agree with you in terms of the highest amount of the need out there is wide receivers, and this next free agency class probably isn't going to be the best. The draft is probably very, very heavy loaded with Marvin Harrison Jr. and there's a big drop off from there. So there might be some teams that want to get their young studded, young quarterback some weapons, or maybe another contending team that's going to kind of rise and want the services of Marquise. So he might be the most value that we might be getting, because you're right. I don't want to move off of Buddha, but and it doesn't seem like he's unhappy. He seems to be one of those guys that just love to kind of like talk very positive, and I love it. Keep it going because he seems like he's happy here. He got a pay raise, and I think we're kind of happy to keep Buddha as well. So we'll see.
I feel like the trade talk or the trade request is kind of what did it, but after the pay raise, I mean, he seems happy. I feel like that's what it was. He just wanted to get paid for kind of what he's worth, and on top of that, it is a rebuild. You don't want to sit here and just play and waste away years if you're not getting paid at the level you think you deserve to get paid at. And if you view yourself as a top safety and you're going through a rebuild, I mean, you deserve to be paid top tier money, especially if you're not contending. You know what I mean? Like, where's the money going? Like, if I'm the top tier safety, I want to make top tier money. Don't blame them. I really don't at the end of the day. I mean, go get your bag. That's what you do. And then maybe take a pay cut later down the line. Who knows? Like, it's just get your money now while you can. I mean, the NFL is not guaranteed. Go ahead and just get it while you can, especially in a rebuild. Like, where's the money going? We have a lot of dead cap.
Yeah.
He seems happy now. And that's the trade request is kind of the only reason that it was even considered. Because if he never came out with that trade request, and I would have never said anything about Budda Baker. Like, I want him here as a Cardinal lifer.
Yeah, me too.
That's the thing. If he can stay here as a Cardinal lifer, even if he's 33 and unproductive or 34 and unproductive, I still want him here. Like even as a backup, just
Yeah.
something like provide some value. And I wouldn't say unproductive, but just like not as productive as he is
Right.
nowadays.
Right.
Just I want him to be a Cardinal lifer, and that's the thing. I wanted Pat P to be a Cardinal lifer, and that didn't
Me
happen. I
too.
wanted Calais Campbell to be a Cardinal lifer,
Me
that
too.
didn't happen. And I just don't want to make the same mistake with Buddha, letting him go at like 29, 30, and then he goes and plays 3-4 more years of great football, and it's like, dang, that sucks. I just want Buddha Baker to stay along. And
Yeah.
then he requested that trade, and I was like, damn. Like, of course, there's another person.
Yeah, we might be one of the very few on that wanted P2 to stay. Because I know there's a lot of people like I feel like that whole storyline just got soured really, really quickly. And for some reason, Cardinals fans got in their feelings and felt like he was talking about Cardinal fans when his beef was with our
Time.
beef. Our beef
Time.
is his beef. And that's one thing that I was
Exactly.
like, I agreed with him, everything that he said. And I think it was a good moment to really get him out of the front office because I think he spearheaded it and really made everybody kind of talk about it because man, Kai needed to go, and I'm so glad he's finally gone. So.
And like it's someone had to come out and speak about it, and obviously he's painted as a villain now, and a lot of Cardinals fans are just like so negated. That
I don't get it. I don't
understand it because like if you really deep dive, like I literally have to like defend my back and defend Patrick Peterson because I'm like everyone was like, oh, you're just loving Pat P. Like he's gone now, let go. I'm like, I'm not even letting go. It's just we suck now. I mean, he's right. Our general manager is like one of the worst in the league. And I mean, am I supposed to sit here and just like the thing I've been preaching about Keim being gone and like wanting Keim gone and the way he treats, but he literally ghosted him. He's like, okay, cool. What are we doing for free agency? Is the move to retain? Are we good? You want to like talk contract? Because he's like, oh yeah, we would love to have you back.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what he told him. Oh, we'd love to have you back. And then of course free agency starts. Nothing. He's like, okay, I'm gonna call you one more time. I'm on vacation. Like, what's going on? Nothing. As soon as he signs a deal with Minnesota, guess who calls?
Yeah,
Steve Keim. So it's like this guy right here was running our team, and obviously there's a reason a lot of people don't like him, and it's not just him. Like there's a lot of players. If you really deep dive, you have Tony Jefferson, Tyrann Mathieu. You got
David Johnson even said snakes in the grass. Do you remember that tweet?
Yeah. And David Johnson's one of the nicest, likable guys in the league. I don't even know if he's still in the league, but David Johnson's just a really nice guy. So, I mean, that's just what it comes down to. I mean, there's a lot of people who just, who knows, man? I mean, there's a lot about Keim that hasn't even come out that, who knows, man? I mean, if a lot of players want to come out and talk about it, didn't Larry Fitz do contract negotiations with Michael Bidwell directly?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I heard a rumor about that, and I was like, dang, if that's the case, what does that say about Keim if he doesn't want to negotiate with Keim? I mean, he's just like straight to the owner. Like, I'm like, I want to be here, but I don't want to talk to you. Or is it just like,
well, that's the crazy thing too. Like, because if you think about where we are in the secondary right now, right? I mean, would you rather have? I mean, and here's the thing: we're not saying Pat P was the best in his last year with it. We're not saying that.
Like,
right?
I know he doesn't want to tackle people. I know he doesn't. But in terms of coverage, he's pretty solid and would have been better than anything. Even if he's a corner 2 and you slide him down with Byron Murphy, it would have been better than freaking Marco Wilson.
Yeah, Marco Wilson, Antonio Hamilton.
Right.
Keetrell Clark. Although, I don't want to give too much flack to Keetrell.
He's a 6th-round draft pick rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie, so I don't want to give too much flack to him. But I mean, with what we have right now, I would rather have Pat, P2 as a number 3.
Even right now, I would rather have Pat P. And he's not fantastic anymore, but he's not the worst. Like he's okay.
Yeah.
And right here, I mean, Matthew even said it. Larry and Bidwell did Larry's contracts. Keim wasn't involved. Like, that's insane. Our best player doesn't want to talk. Like, he doesn't come out and bash him because that's Larry Fitz, right? Like, Larry Fitz is one of the nicest guys. One of the nicest guys in the league. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to be here long term. He made that very clear. But the fact he went through Michael freaking Bidwell instead of Steve Keim, it just speaks volume. Literally, like, he doesn't want to talk to him. Like, he's like, no, it's just not worth my time. Like, let's just go straight to the owner and negotiate it here. Like, I feel like a lot of players do like Michael Bidwell. There's a lot of stuff that comes out within the organization, which if proved to be true, very controversial. I mean, a lot of stuff coming out, but who knows, man? It's just the fact he went to Bidwell instead of
the contracts.
Keim. It just speaks volumes to me, and that's Fitz.
Sure. And then that's, I think, one thing why I think a lot of Cardinal fans are really hoping that Garrett Williams is going to become that guy, right? I think that's kind of going back to the rookie 3rd round pick that we ended up having. That's why we want it so badly for him to work.
We need it. We
We need
need
it.
somebody. We're filling a void. We have no Byron Murphy, no Patrick Peterson, and we used to. It's just like this is what the Cardinals did with Patrick Peterson. We were unable to pair anybody alongside him, and then we get Antonio Cromartie for 1 year. They both make the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
And then Antonio Cromartie's gone the next year. It's like,
Yep.
what are we doing, guys? Like,
Yep.
we finally get someone to pair across. And that was, oh my gosh.
That was a good.
I've never felt so confident in life of just being like, listen, I don't care if Antonio Cromartie's 32 years old. I mean, they just both made the Pro Bowl. Like, they got to be back.
Yeah.
Where'd he sign the Jets? And I was like, bro, what in the fluff? Like, go retain both of these guys. Go get them both back. We need them both. Pair them alongside Pat P. And then what, 4 years, 5 years later, or 4 years later, we get Byron Murphy. And it's like, you paired who across of him? Justin Bethel?
Yeah.
Gerard Powers, which, I mean, he was fine as like a corner 3. But like, man, you just can't pair anybody alongside him. And the same thing goes for Byron Murphy. I mean, we had Pat P for like 2 years, but not really much help.
Last thing before we close up shop here real quick. I don't think a lot of people talk about this here, but a guy that we had in our practice squad and we released, Russell Douglas, and that could have been a guy that the Arizona Cardinals could have, really rallied, for, and the Green Bay Packers got him, and he's doing wonders over there with obviously not top CB, but man, a guy that's actually making plays. Russell Douglas is a guy that we had in our practice squad, and the Arizona Cardinals just decided to say, please deuces. It wasn't this regime or the last regime, so. Yep. And that was one of the moments where he was the guy who made the interception where AJ Green didn't turn around. We cut him
the same freaking season. We are undefeated against a banged up Green Bay Packers team. You know who? Obviously, AJ Green doesn't turn around. Do you want to take a guess on who intercepted us for game? For the money. It was Rasul Douglas, the guy who we cut from the practice squad. Makes a game-winning pick, ends up playing elite football the entire season.
Yep.
And you know who else was balling out on that Packers team? Devondre Campbell, middle linebacker.
Oh, yeah, we had him
Green
too,
Bay Packers. 2 players that the Cardinals just let go. Turned into all-pros dang near. I think Campbell was an all-pro. I don't know if Douglas was, but Douglas played elite-level football. Campbell was an all-pro, if I'm not mistaken. He was a Pro Bowler, I'm not mistaken. Crazy that other people's trash is just treasures for other people. I mean, we saw it. We freaking saw it.
Yeah, Cardinals trash is other people's treasure for sure. All right, man, let's close up shop here. We're hitting the hour mark. I appreciate everybody here in the chat. Thank you, everybody, so much for the contributions. We are going to close up shop. Cardinals versus Seahawks this coming weekend. Let's see what our Redbirds can do against the Seattle Seahawks heading into, is it week 7 now, right?
Week 7.
Wild. All right, boys and girls, thank you so very much for tuning in. As always, have a great rest of your day, and go Cards.